I'm Nadine with Throdle. I'm here in Orlando Formula Drift with
Kelsey Rowlings, also known as the Drift Chick, and I drift in the Formula Drift Pro Spec Series.
So thank you for doing this with us. We know that you're a Orlando native, aren't you?
I am. This is my home track.
And how often have you actually driven on this track?
So I actually started drifting here back in 2008.
Wow.
And then this track closed to drifting for a while, went elsewhere, and then eventually came back. So this is literally where I grew up drifting.
Okay, well tell us a little bit about this. First of all, what are these lines?
So these lines are basically just benchmarks for the judges.
Okay.
They can tell the judge how close the car is actually getting to the clip, because from up there where the judges are, it's actually hard to see how close we're getting to the clip.
Right, and
so
where they touched it also.
Exactly, and that's good. If you can touch it without hitting it over, that's perfect. But if you're maybe a foot or two off, these lines, as you go by it, the judge will see where your front bumper is compared to these lines, and then they can gauge how far you are and score it.
Okay, and this turn here, this is called what?
So this is inner clip 1.
Okay.
So coming up to this track, it's everybody thinks it's a very simple track, but it's actually more complicated than you would think.
Okay.
We start with this run up that's already on an angled bank.
Right there.
Yep, so we have a run up on this angled bank. And one of the first difficult parts is you want to make sure that as you take off, your car wants to dip down and you don't want to hit the chicane cone.
Okay.
So first of all, that's difficult. And then you want to get your traction, you want to floor it all the way into this entry. And this wall here on the bank is the first outer zone. And you want to get your rear bumper as close as possible to this wall as you're coming around. And where you enter is very important. If you enter too early, you're not going to be close to the wall. If you enter too late, you might crash into the wall. So that is very important, that timing, and it's harder than people think.
Well, when you look at it, well, from above, it just looks like a very simple figure 8. So you think the more simple, the easier, right?
You would think, you know? And it doesn't end there. As you're coming around this bank wall, if you come off the bank too early or too late, it doesn't line you up well for this inner clip. And not only that, you may think you're lined up for this inner clip, but coming off the bank, there's a big dip. So it's actually a hard hit, and you'll sometimes see cars popping a wheel up, bouncing off this big dip. It's super bumpy, and it can really throw you off.
Well, let's take a walk then, and let's figure out what else is going on. So you come here, what kind of speed are you doing in your initiation, would you say?
Honestly, I don't look at any sort of speed. I just go for it and do what feels right. All I know is I'm going in 4th gear and flooring it and just clutch kick entering. Some people handbrake, but I prefer to do a clutch kick into a bank.
So let's talk about the weather, because in Orlando, well, I thought I was in the Sunshine State, but I soon found out that wasn't the case. But yesterday was just hot. It was muggy, it was about 97 degrees. Today it's going to rain. There may even be some lightning. How does that actually affect the track and your performance?
Honestly, I'm surprised it's not raining already. But rain can be really difficult. It makes the track super slippery. A lot of times we'll adjust setups like taking sway bars off, lowering tire pressures. Everybody has their own thing that they do to adjust their setup for the rain. But even still, it can be very unpredictable. If water pools on track, some spots are slicker than others. Because of the bank, the water runs down off the track. But in the infield, it might more so stay. So it makes it super difficult. Not only that, but coming through this infield, there is a bump in the transition point.
Oh, you're right. You can't see it from over there.
Exactly. But when you see the cars, you might see them do this on that transition, and they may pick up a wheel again. That can throw you off on that transition getting to this next inner clip.
Right.
So if you don't get this line right, it's going to throw you off for the rest of the track.
So the secret to winning, I guess, is you're going to make sure that your initiation is really good and you got to handle that jump really well.
Absolutely. If you don't handle the jump, you'll get thrown off and you won't have the proper line and angle going into this inner clip. And like I said, this next inner clip that we're walking towards, if you don't get that right, it may put you up tire on the bank up in this next outer zone. Or if you come and like late apex it, you may be too shallow and you have to try to work yourself out. So honestly, this track, everyone thinks, oh, it's a simple figure 8, but if you're not putting your car in the proper places throughout the entire track, it can really throw you off.
Totally makes sense. Now with Pro Spec, this is the very first of the 4 races of Pro Spec, isn't it?
It is. It's a big opener for us.
Okay, well how does this compare to the other ones? Because you're going to New Jersey, you're going to Utah, and that's right.
So this year, this is the only banked track that we have. Last year we did compete at Irwindale, which is a bank somewhat similar to this, but this year this is the only banked track. After this, we mainly have road courses. So New Jersey is the next one up, and it's a figure 8 similar to this, but no bank. St. Louis, very technical. You have this fast sweeper to a tight 180, to another fast sweeper, to another tight turn. Very technical.
So what are we on right here? Because I'm seeing another one of these.
So this is the next inner clip, and it's not there right now. So this is where the inner clip would be.
So you gotta touch right here as close as you can.
You want to graze that front bumper right by. Yep.
Okay, all right.
And this will line you up into this outer zone. And on this section, we don't go up on the bank. We don't.
I can see all the marks right there.
You see marks because they did it wrong. If you put a tire off, that's a deduction.
How much of a deduction would you get for that?
It really depends on the judges, you know? As you know, drifting is a judged sport. And in qualifying, we have a line judge, a style judge, and an angle judge. So that might be something that the line judge would take off points for. Because, hey, you're putting a tire off track, that's not where your car should be.
Okay.
And they can actually tell, like they'll see the car pick up a little bit on that corner. So some people can think they get away with it, but they can tell.
All right, so then after this, then what happens? What are you looking out for pitfalls?
Well, after this, it's pretty much, it's pretty straightforward. If you make it past this point, you get a good entry into this zone, you're solid. But you want to try to put your rear tire on that line. You want to kind of get in that pocket, right where the bank meets the apron. If you get in that pocket and just ride that line all the way around, you're good. Just pass the finish line drifting, and all good.
So we know that you're actually a spotter for Chow Berrien's team, aren't you?
So I'm not his official spotter because there is a little bit of a language barrier. It's actually hard for us to understand each other on the radio. So we actually have somebody who speaks Portuguese spotting, but I will watch and relay my notes to his spotter, which then if he thinks he needs it, he'll relay those notes to Joao.
I see. So how does that make you a better drifter then if you're spotting?
I think spotting really helps, and also I judge a Pro-Am series.
You do?
So all of that really helps me to decide when I'm doing my qualifying runs, what would I look for as a spotter or a judge? I want to see how I'm going to deduct points, and then I put that towards my driving. And being super critical, it makes me a better driver, but it also makes me really hard on myself because I know when I do something wrong.
But I think that's the best way to learn, right? If you can be your best critic, then you know what, you've only got yourself to beat.
That's right. When I come out here, it's all about beating myself and making improvements. If I say, hey, you know, I didn't win the event, but man, I did that one corner that I've never gotten perfect. I did that perfect this time. If I can make those little improvements throughout, I feel like I'm growing, my driving is getting better. So overall, I'm winning.
Awesome. Well, you know what? We're really looking forward to seeing you this weekend, and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
And you know what, guys? If you want to check out Kelsey, we're going to do a car breakdown with her, so you're going to want to make sure you check it out on the Throdle app. So thanks for tuning in, and join us next time as Throdle's Feeling Connections and Driving Experiences.